In the heart of Philadelphia stands a foreboding structure, a place that once housed some of the most notorious criminals in American history. Eastern State Penitentiary, a virtual fortress built to reform, became a living nightmare for those within its walls. Its striking Gothic architecture, resembling a medieval castle, was meant to inspire awe and fear in both inmates and visitors. This is the story of the House of Repentance, its gruesome past, its violent history, and the chilling ghost stories that endure to this day. Eastern State Penitentiary was founded in 1829 with a radical vision of rehabilitation. It was designed to isolate inmates from the corrupting influences of the outside world, imposing a strict regimen of solitary confinement and silence. The revolutionary system of separate incarceration, which prioritized reform above punishment when it was initially introduced into the local Walnut Street Jail, was perfected in the penitentiary. When it was finished, the facility was the most costly and largest public building ever constructed in the United States, and it was adopted as a model by more than 300 jails across the globe. British-born architect John Haviland designed the Eastern State Penitentiary's imposing architecture. This design was revolutionary, with a radial floor plan and cell blocks radiating from a central hub. It allowed for efficient surveillance, but also contributed to the prison's eerie atmosphere. The skylights in the cell blocks, known as the Eye of God, symbolized the idea that God was always watching the prisoners, reinforcing their isolation. The initial idea was to promote repentance through isolation, where criminals could experience spiritual remorse by meditating on their crimes while undergoing rehabilitation. However, this method of isolation led to extreme psychological distress for many inmates, causing long-lasting trauma. Each prisoner was kept in a small, dimly lit cell with only a Bible for company. Accommodations were said to be advanced for their time, including a flush toilet and a faucet with running water. It was a bleak and lonely existence designed to encourage repentance and reform. But the reality was far from the idealistic vision. In a confined, oppressive atmosphere, violence often erupted. Riots and violent uprisings punctuated its history. Inmates lashed out against the harsh conditions, and guards responded with brutal force, often leaving scars, both physical and emotional. Prisoners endured cruel and inhumane treatment, leading to physical and psychological suffering. Accounts from former inmates reveal the torment they endured in isolation. Prisoners were even hooded before being moved into their cells to maintain isolation, with some reporting hallucinations and severe anxiety. During the 1920s and 30s, the institution was ruled with an iron fist by one of its most famous figures, Warden Herbert Hard-Boiled Smith. It was at this point that the state abandoned strict isolationism and began to house 2 to 3 prisoners sharing a cell. However, the loss of one punishment brought forth several others. Some of these included the water bath, where inmates were dunked in ice-cold water and then hung on a wall for a night, especially popular during cold winter months, and the mad chair, where they restricted an inmate's all and any movement by tightly strapping them to a chair, sometimes for days, often inducing starvation. Some were bound so tightly that circulation was cut off, which later necessitated amputations. Within the prison, there was an infamous punishment cell known as the Hole. Inmates were confined to this dark, damp, and cramped space as a severe form of punishment. The conditions in the Hole were extremely inhumane. and it was used to break the spirits of unruly prisoners. Reports of ghostly apparitions and anguished cries in the hole persist to this day. Eastern State Penitentiary held some of America's most notorious criminals, including Slick Willie Sutton and Al Capone. Their presence added to the prison's dark legacy. From 1929 to 1930, Eastern State Penitentiary was well known for housing the infamous Chicago gangster. Capone served 8 months for carrying a concealed deadly weapon. Though his cell was the nicest at Eastern State, furnishings included a desk, lamp, paintings, and a cabinet radio. He complained during his incarceration that he was haunted by the ghost of James Clark, one of the victims of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in Chicago. His cell is now a popular attraction for visitors. Despite his plush surroundings, Capone reportedly had to contend with constant threats from other inmates who resented his notoriety. Visitors to his cell often report feeling an overwhelming sense of unease and dread. Desperation fueled more than 100 escape attempts, with 59 people managing to make it out. Inmates dug tunnels under 30-foot-tall and 10-foot-deep prison walls, some of which still exist today as eerie reminders of their determination. One of the most audacious escapes was that of Slick Willie Sutton. In 1945, Sutton, a master bank robber, escaped from his cell using a makeshift ladder and vanished into the night. He was recaptured later, but his escape was a clear example of the human spirit's relentless desire for freedom. In addition to Slick Willie Sutton's daring escape, other inmates attempted their own desperate breakouts. Some succeeded, disappearing into the night, never to be seen again. The prison's multiple escape attempts and the creativity inmates employed to outsmart the guards prove the lengths people will go to regain their freedom, even in the most dire circumstances. Over the years, Eastern State Penitentiary fell into disrepair. Designated a National Historic Landmark in 1965, it closed its doors in 1971, leaving behind a crumbling fortress haunted by its painful past. Over 75,000 inmates were held at the penitentiary over its 142-year history. The prison's decay mirrored the haunting atmosphere of its past. Forgotten by time, its eerie corridors and crumbling cells became a canvas for nature's reclamation. With its violent history, it's no wonder that Eastern State Penitentiary is said to be haunted. Ghost stories abound, with visitors and paranormal investigators reporting eerie encounters. Visitors have reported chilling experiences in the prison cell blocks, from hearing disembodied voices to feeling an oppressive presence that seems to watch their every move. It's been reported that mournful wailings are heard in Cell Block 12, while Cell Block 6 is known to have shadowy figures darting across the corridor, and Cell Block 4 for visions of ghostly faces. Many have also reported to have seen a figure of a guard in one of the towers. Whispers, footsteps, and wails. The stories repeat over and over. Some claim to have an icy grip on their shoulder when exploring the prison's abandoned hospital wing. One of the most legendary tales comes from Gary Johnson, who helps maintain the crumbling old locks at the prison. In the early 1990s, he had just opened an old lock in Cell Block 4 when he says a force gripped him so tightly that he was unable to move. He described a horrible negative energy that exploded out of the cell. The cell walls became filled with tormented faces, and that one in particular beckoned to him. One of the more notorious and controversial videos taken at Eastern State is one that appeared on the sci-fi series Ghost Hunters, when members of the Atlantic Paranormal Society filmed what appears to be a shadowy figure on the catwalk of Cell Block 4. The prison's abandoned hospital wing is said to be one of the hotspots for paranormal activity. Visitors have described feeling a chilling presence, and some have even captured mysterious figures in their photographs. Reopened in 1994, Eastern State Penitentiary is now a National Historic Landmark, but its preservation efforts aim to honor the prison's history while also highlighting the horrors that occurred within its walls. The prison's transformation from a place of despair to a place of reflection and education is a testament to the resilience of history and the enduring lessons it can teach us. Eastern State has been used as a location for television programs and films about hauntings. Paranormal TV shows like Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventurers, BuzzFeed Unsolved, and MTV's Fear are just a few that have explored the paranormal activities at Eastern State Penitentiary. The penitentiary has also been used in TV, movies, and music videos, such as an episode of Cold Case. In 1995, Terry Gilliam used Eastern State Penitentiary as a backdrop for a mental health facility in his film 12 Monkeys. It served as a stand-in for a Malaysian prison in the 1998 motion picture Return to Paradise. And in 2008, Paramount used parts of Eastern State to film Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. Tina Turner and Philadelphia's punk band Dead Milkmen also used it in their music videos. Eastern State Penitentiary hosts nighttime tours, and many participants have captured unexplained phenomena in photographs and recordings. Halloween Nights, formerly known as Terror Behind the Walls, is an annual haunted house Halloween event run by the Eastern State Penitentiary Historic Site, Inc. The first Halloween fundraiser took place on Halloween weekend, 1991. Through the years, attractions have grown and changed from the short theatrical performances and tales of violence and murder to attractions that include 7 separate haunted attractions, such as the Machine Shop, Lockdown: The Uprising, Infirmary, Breakout, Quarantine 4D, and Detritus and Bloodyard, added in 2017. Today, Eastern State Penitentiary hosts more than 200,000 visitors as a museum, a chilling reminder of its dark past. It is a location where the echoes of hopelessness continue to reverberate, and a monument to the evil and misery that humans are capable of. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, the stories of Eastern State Penitentiary continue to captivate the imagination, reminding us that some horrors refuse to stay buried. My name is Joseph, and thank you so much for watching. We are Mystery Syndicate. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Leave a comment and give this video a like. And to be notified when we post new videos, hit that notification bell. Also, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Patreon. And for exclusive merchandise, visit our website at www.mysterysyndicate.com. From all of us at Mystery Syndicate, thank you again. We sincerely appreciate your support.